What is up? As you can tell, just got out of bed. That is, I didn't have hair for the longest time, and now it is a mess. But, we're just gonna roll with it because we're cool. So, story I'm gonna tell you today is the story of my first time going skydiving. And a little backstory: I was taken out of Tilt-A-Whirl by my cousin when I was 3 years old, and ever since then, I was deathly afraid of anything with that dropping feeling, like roller coasters. I mean, I don't mind jumping out of trees and stuff, but not super high, and I don't like spinning, but I raced cars when I was a kid, so I had like a weird phobia and weird fear that is really illogical because it's kind of hit or miss with what I will and won't do. So, fast forward to year 26, which is where we're at right now. My brother wakes me up Saturday morning, and he says, "What are you doing today?" Tell him I'm not doing anything. And he says, "We're going skydiving, get up." I'm like, "What?" Thinking he's kidding, I go back to bed. 20 minutes later, he's like, "Dude, we really gotta go. We're going skydiving in like 30 minutes. I was like, "Oh, okay." So we get to the skydiving place, Skydive City in Zephyr Hills, Florida. We sit there for about 2 hours because it's packed. We're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, somebody comes up to us and says, "You guys are on the next plane. You got about 20 minutes till you're going up." I'm like, "Okay, here we go." Just as he says that, the clouds come over. It starts raining a little bit. Wind picks up, and they put us in a weather hold. We wait for like another hour or so, and then we decide to rain check it till Tuesday. So we were kind of down, kind of bummed. We basically like got this close to going, and neither of us were really afraid at that point. It was kind of like, wake up, we're going skydiving, let's do it. So there was no fear really involved. But we waited from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday we wake back up, and we're heading back to Zephyr Hills to go skydiving this time. It's a beautiful day. It's a little windy, not a lot. But we get there, and we sign back in. We are like on the second plane going out. So we waited 20 minutes. Came over, our instructors met us. We got us all strapped up. We were ready to go. And we're walking over to the plane, and I'm like, "Wow, this is really happening. This is pretty cool." My instructor's telling me funny jokes and everything. And, I'd seen this guy. I'd heard him tell somebody he did like 9,800 jumps or something like that Saturday when I saw him. I was like, holy cow. So, I mean, he knows what he's doing. And he's telling me, he's like, "All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a, backflip out of the plane. Maybe we'll do some little spins and everything." I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. It's not going to be bad." So we get in the plane, and if you have ever done a tandem skydive, it is tremendously awkward when you are sitting in the plane, because we're on this bench in this plane that's 4 feet high, it seems like. It's super small. And we are, like, you're on a bench, and you're, like, straddling the bench and sitting in between the instructor's legs. So it's like, wow, I guess we're going to be really good friends by the end of this thing, because we're about to sit really close to each other, and then we're going to jump out of a plane together. So, like, we're going to be besties from here on out. And so we're heading up, and it's a packed plane. Like, there's a skydive team from Qatar in the plane, and they're going to do some cool formations and everything. But as we get off the ground, we're about a minute into this flight. It's like 20 minutes up, and I'm looking out, and I realize that this is the first time I've been on a plane and it's taking off that I'm not landing with the plane. And that was just kind of a weird shock, kind of a weird shift in your thinking. And so then I kind of like felt the heartbeat go a little bit more, but I wasn't like nervous. And I'm just watching. I'm like, okay, cool. Because I've looked out of a plane on a regular flight and been like, I could totally jump out of this, no big deal. And so 10,000 feet, the skydiving team from Qatar gets out, and my instructor's like, "Okay, watch them. They're all going to hang on. This guy's hanging on, and they're going to push off together, and they're going to do some cool formations." And, when they go, it's just like, shoop, shoop. You just hear it. I'm like, whoa, like, they're gone now. They're not even in this plane. They're flying through the sky right now. And so that was kind of interesting. And then we keep going up. We got the max height we could. 13,500 feet is where we were. My instructor says, "We'll let your brother go first." So when we get up there, like, all right, let's go. We slide to the front of the bench. My brother Nathan, um, he's heading up. I'm like, I love you, brother. He doesn't respond, so I'm like, he's locked in. He doesn't even know what's going on right now. He gets to the edge, and he's just kind of like looking out, and then 1, 2, 3, he's gone. And to me, it was like I'd seen him jump off of our boat, in the summertime all the time. That's what it reminded me of. Somebody just jumping off a boat, going in the water, they disappear for a second, and then they come back up. But after like a second, I realized he's not coming back up. He's down there now. He's in it. And so the instructor's like, all right, man, it's our turn. I'm like, yeah, okay. And so we're walking up to the edge, and he's like, toes over the edge there, and I'm looking down. I'm like, this is when I realized part two. Not only am I not landing with this plane, but I'm seriously about to jump out of this plane. And as I'm thinking that, the instructor says, okay, now put your head back, look up at the ceiling, arch your back. And as I do that, we do a backflip out of this plane. And I'm looking at the plane just disappearing. And I'm like, wow, we're in it. And, you get that roller coaster feeling where you're falling, but it's bouncing up and down. Since you're doing a backflip, it's just uncontrollable. And it's so loud. And then we finally get to where we're, in skydive position. And my childhood fear comes back up. My first thing I wanted to say was, I want to be done. I wanted to yell, like, I want to be done. I want to get off. Like, I don't want to do this. And so as I was about to yell that, I wanted to skydive. I've always wanted to skydive. I just had that fear, I guess. And so that came out of nowhere. I feel like it surfaced back up. But as I was about to yell, I want to be done, I realized I can't be done. I can't get off this ride. They're not going to stop it. I'm like, wow. And so then I realized I'm trying to breathe really fast, and but the air is rushing into my mouth the whole time. And so then I have a slight panic attack, which I never have. I'm a very calm person. But then I slow down my breathing. I'm like, all right, let's just accept that. And once I got past that realization that we're in this now, you can't get off this ride, calm your breathing down. Once you kind of get to that point, it is super peaceful. You get to enjoy it. I'm like breathing normally now. I'm looking all around. I'm like, there's the ground. There's everything. It was so cool. And, you're just jacked up. You're excited. And I'm just enjoying the ride. And then my instructor's like, okay, now we're going to do some spins. Put your right hand above your left hand. And I'm like, okay, cool. And we take off spinning, and we're going for a while. And again, I don't do spinning. And we did right spins, left spins. And to me, it was like in Mario Kart when you hit a banana. That's what it felt like to me. And so I'm like, oh my God. I don't want to do these spins. And so we do spins the entirety of the free fall. I had a moment of acceptance and calm and peace and bliss. And then we start spinning, and I'm like, okay, now the adrenaline's really going. The heart's really pumping. And instructor taps me on the arm, and next thing I know, pulls the chute, and we're up. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, that was a cool experience. And it's super calm, just low-key, and it's beautiful. And he's like, look over there, it's Tampa Bay. And, wow, And then he says, you want to see what this parachute can do? I'm like, sure, yeah. And so he's like, okay, now he had me hanging on to it. He's like, I'm going to unstrap your leg strap so it's a little bit more comfortable. I was like, you're not going to drop me, are you? He's like, no, but it's going to feel like I am. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm hanging on the parachute, and I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere, I guess, because I've got this thing. So he unstraps and it felt like I was dropping, which was cool. Fun feeling, a little rush. But then, he's like, all right, now pull down to the right, on the right handle. And we take off spinning in this parachute, and pretty crazy. And then we do the left side, and we're spinning around. He's like, all right, now steer us to that field, blah, blah, blah. After a while, he's like, all right, now I'm going to take over. And, we come in, we land super smooth. And we'd actually fallen a little bit longer than my brother and his instructor had. So even though he went first, we beat him down. Because I think my guy was just having too much fun spinning. And we land, I hit the ground, it's really smooth. And I'm just like, holy cow. Watch my brother land. High five everybody. It was so much fun. But, I guess that was the cool thing was, those fears that I'd had forever, I'm 26 now, so the fears I'd had for 23 years of spinning and adrenaline and the rush feelings, um, they came back up. But when you're in the sky, jumping, falling, there's nothing you can do about it except accept it. And when those things get right brought up to the surface where you're like panicking, you're like, I want to get off, but you can't, and you have to accept that you're doing this, you have so much more freedom and appreciation for everything. I mean, we were having a beverage at the wing house after we did the flight or skydive, and we were just like, music sounded so good, food tasted amazing, like we were having a great time, and it was just, when you get past those fears and when you get past, like, what's the worst going to happen? I could die. You accept that. That could happen, but it's hard to explain. Like, once those fears get all the way to the top, and then you overcome them. You don't let them control you, and you actually accept things. Life is just way cooler that way. So, my advice, and my brother's advice, because he was actually going through a hard time, and that's why he wanted to do something spontaneous, go skydiving. And he was like, anybody that's having a hard time, go skydiving. It will change your perspective. It will open life up to you. It is so much fun. It's a great rush. I'm definitely going again. I want to get my skydiving license, go by myself, do it all the time. But, it's just do something crazy, do something wild, get out there, face your fears, and have fun. Life is fun, people. So, hope you enjoyed my 12-minute story of how I skydived, or skydove. But yeah, we'll be in touch. Good to talk to you guys.